Hello, this is the Nightline Podcast. My name's James Pikeway, and if you want to learn more about the program, please go to www.dubai1038.com or email us, nightline@dubai1038.ae. Enjoy the show.
Dubai's intrepid journalist of automotive detail.
Intrepid. Wow.
Journalist
of detail.
of automotive details.
Wow.
Yes.
We're the guys. We go out there. We find the details.
You are the go-to
the
guys.
nitty-gritty.
There we go. If there's something you need to know about what's going on in the automotive industry, these two gentlemen, Shahzad and Imtishan from motoringmiddleeast.com.
That's the place. That's where you'll find us.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great to have you both back in studio, and fantastic to be able to talk about the Morgan this week.
Ooh.
Because last week we had the Caterham.
I know.
The bone-jarring, amazing ride.
Earth-shattering, spine-destroying.
So
but hold on. Let's just recap last week with the Caterham and go and listen to the review of that. If you want to go, just go to our podcast and also go to our blog, Dubai I-103.8. Dubai I-103.8.
103.8, yeah.
Dubai I-103.8.com
yes.
/Nightline. And then
it's
go
okay,
to
I'll help you out. It's okay. It's right behind you on the wall. I can see it, so it's great. Dubai I 103.8.
Yeah, it's 103.8.com.
Don't forget the point 8.
103.8.com. There you go.
The point being, Imtishan said, I'm just going to take it easy when I'm driving home.
No.
There was not a chance to even keep up to him.
No, you
can't.
can't.
He was
I
gone.
was going as slowly as humanly possible.
Gone.
No, you can't.
It was like the Flash.
But you see what I mean
Gone.
about that car? It's like deceptively quick.
Yes.
Like, it is like nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, you've put your finger on it, actually. The whole there, you watch the finger because you've put it right on it.
Careful which finger you put on there.
You've got it. You've got it. Nail on head. You know, because yes, these cars actually, the Caterham 7 that Imtishan was driving last week, and the Morgan Plus 4 that I'm driving this week. In fact, they both have the same engine. It's a 2-liter Ford engine.
Describe the Morgan Plus 4. Describe what you're driving so that our listeners get the total feel. For this
an easy way of describing it is somebody pulled up alongside me at a traffic light yesterday.
Yes.
And window down, he looked across and he says, "Oh, cool car. What year is it?" I said, "What do you think it is?" Oh, he said 1940, something like that. And then, in fact, he wasn't far off. You know, it dates back to the 1930s. And then I said to him, "No, it's brand new, actually." And you should have seen his face. He was just like, "What? You're having me on?" I'm like, "No, it's brand new. This car has got 1,500 kilometers on it. It's brand new."
Yeah.
Well, it's got a bit more on it now, anyway. But it had 1,500 kilometers on it, and he couldn't believe it. It's a 2-seater roadster, pre-war British roadster. That's what it is. That's what it looks like.
What's the engine under the hood on this?
2-liter Ford engine. I think it's about 170 horsepower, something like that. Yeah.
How much does this vehicle weigh?
About 927 kilograms.
So there we go. So basically,
so plenty.
Yeah, this engine is just firing this car across everything.
But the thing is, the reason why I said that you hit the nail on the head was, so to look at these two cars, they're both antiquated British cars with similar engines, back to basics, no creature comforts, nothing, etc., etc. You could say they're the same car, but actually they're not. They're fundamentally different. Because the Caterham is a all-or-nothing sports car. You're hard on it. It is pin sharp. That thing is meant to go around corners. It's meant to terrorize everything else on the street because it's just so quick, so rapid, and so nippy.
The Plus 4 looks so refined.
The Plus 4, although it is a sports car, and you can check it around, and you can have a hoot in it, it's more of a Grand Tourer. Yeah. So you can take it easy in a Plus 4. You can just cruise in it, and you can actually just have a marvelous day in it, as I've been having today, actually, because the weather is just so perfect right now to have these sort of cars.
Spoked wheels?
Yes, I believe so. Have I got a picture of mine?
When you look at the morgan-motor.uk/plus4, PLUS4, it is a spectacular looking roadster. I mean, it is just a beautiful vehicle.
That's it, absolutely. And it's very evocative. It's a car that's of its time. But here's the wonderful thing about these cars, and that goes for the Caterham as well. You get a car that looks like a classic car, feels like a classic car, has all the aura and presence of a classic car, but I've been driving this thing all day today. All day, literally. Yeah. I've hardly got out of this thing.
Isn't this perfect weather?
Perfect weather for these sort of cars.
Yeah.
Now, if I was actually driving a 1930s or a 1940s car, I would be quite anxious. I'd be keeping an eye on the temperature gauge. I'd be listening out for warning signs. I'd be waiting for something to break. But the beauty of these cars is they're brand new. And although they look classic, the engineering, the drivetrain is actually brand new. You know, the gearbox in this Morgan, you never miss a change. It's a Mazda MX-5 gearbox.
So it's interesting. They've gone and sourced the Mazda MX-5 gearbox.
Yeah.
They've got the Mustang or the Ford engine.
Ford engine in this one, Ford 2-liter engine.
Ford
and the
2-liter.
next one up, the Roadster, has the Mustang V6 engine in it. The one up from that has a BMW V8 engine.
So
in it.
they've gone and sourced everything that they really want.
Yeah, so basically the drivetrain, which gives the car, which gives you the ability to drive it every day if you want to, because there's nothing going to go wrong with it. You know, it's about as reliable as a modern car.
Does it have air conditioning?
You know, it has a button on it that I think is air conditioning, but I couldn't vouch for that. What I can vouch for is the heating. Being a British car, of course, I thought I'll put the heating on the way here because I had my, my beanie hat and everything on because I thought I'm going to go down the highway. And I turned the heater and I turned it just to the first setting, and instantly I was roasted. It's great. The heating is fantastic. I can vouch for that.
And the reason I ask that is just this is a modern car.
Drivetrain-wise, it's a modern car. Creature comfort-wise, it is not a modern car.
So if you're looking for all the electronic dashboard things and the ability and the underlighting and
In fact, forget even that. This doesn't have power steering. I'm not even sure if it has ABS on it. I haven't actually tried the brake because the brakes aren't, this is the thing about these cars, and the Caterham included. You have to focus back on the process of driving because all of a sudden you're thinking about your braking distance.
No backup camera?
You kidding? You look over your shoulder. Actually, the visibility is great with the roof down. You can see everything. The mirrors are kind of like they're there for design. So just look over your shoulder. But, the steering is stodgy, honestly. It's not very linear. So you have to really think about your steering. And the turning circle is not great. The braking, it takes a while for it to bite. And the pedal angle is a bit odd. So, it doesn't, sometimes you're on the brake and you're not actually braking. You're like, you have to lift your foot up. So this is a car that focuses you. Your concentration is on nothing but driving, just like the Caterham. Not as intense
The Caterham,
as the
your
Caterham.
focus is on surviving.
Yeah. But it makes you a better driver. And plus in these cars, you're low down. You're not sure if people have seen you. So you're having to allow for everybody else as well.
What's it going to cost me if I want to go and get a Morgan Plus 4?
This one is 230,000 dirhams for this one. 240,000 dirhams.
Okay.
And it comes with a 2.5 year service and warranty package.
2.5 year?
2.5 year, that's right, yeah.
Half year.
I don't know why it's a half year, but that's what they told me. 2.5
2.5 years.
Service and warranty package. But service as well.
That's good.
So you can drive away and not worry about it, You may have problems with these cars because they are, cottage industry build quality, But it's all part of the character of the car. So, just to sort of sum up this car, is like, and I'm 6'2" tall, so it's not ideal getting in and out. Actually, once you're in it, you're fine. It's just getting in and out is a problem. Like I said, the steering is not assisted. The braking you have to think about. There's no stereo in this car. I'm not sure if the AC would do anything. The roof is, the roof actually is pretty easy to put up and down, but it's just I couldn't be bothered because it gets a bit claustrophobic. All of these compromises you would think would go, you know what, I've got another car at home. Why should I drive this one? But I kid you not, I will drive this every day, every single day, everywhere, all the time, whenever I could.
I mean, that is a ringing endorsement of the Morgan Plus 4.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Car Talk is what you're listening to. MotoringME.com is in the house. That's Imtishan and Shazad. We're talking cars. We want to hear from you. Ian the Skoda guy's already in on the SMS line. You can get in on the SMS line and the phone line. The team from Motoring Middle East is also here. Ian the Skoda guy's come through on the SMS line and said, hi, team. Yep, that Morgan Plus 4 is a proper car.
Absolutely.
Morgans in general, I think he's a big fan.
And the other thing about it is that there are people, everybody just wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to ask you about the car. People are taking pictures. People wave and smile. I mean, it's a car that spreads as much joy to others as it's doing to its driver.
You see? That's important.
That is important.
Just like the Caprice Saloon station, the Caprice Station Wagon 1990 that you guys threw up on Facebook. I would love that.
Find.
I want that vehicle.
Oh, I was so tempted to just go down there and go, right, here's some cash now.
It's cheap enough and clean enough.
16 grand.
It looks good in the pictures.
Yeah, 16 grand wagon.
Yeah.
Caprice Classic, 1990.
Beautiful.
Second owner.
Yeah.
and it looked the business.
What kind of mileage do we know?
Oh,
Is
I
It's
it?
don't
like
know.
180k or something.
That's nothing.
Nothing for those cars, though. I consider it's a 1990.
It looks great.
You know, it's a 26-year-old car.
Looks beautiful.
And here's the interesting thing, and we throw up a lot of cars on our Facebook pages. You know, anything interesting we
Yeah.
find, we often put up there. There's at least 3 readers on there. They're all vying for it right now. So it's like that's telling in itself, you know.
It's just beautiful. It is just, it's one of those vehicles.
So
that
there you
look
go.
at.
Top tip now. Classic cool Caprice Classic from the 90s.
Yeah.
Find one of those.
There we go.
There you go. That's
There
the
we
car
go.
to have.
Yeah. Imshan, what about yourself? You driving? Did you get out on anything this week after the Caterham, or were you just ruined?
Well, today I was on the launch of the Kia Sportage.
Yes.
Is it Sportage or Sportage?
I think it's Sportage.
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 Now I saw.
Sportage. Sportage. That's it in Sri Lanka. That's how you'd say it. But yeah, Sportage. I'm not even
Thank
joking.
you. Thank you for that lesson in language. I saw the journalism pack and some of the photos out there. It looks like a sweet ride.
Well, you know, Peter Schreier does the design for these things, although I think he oversees the design team now. It's getting more insectoid, but I think it's a smart-looking car, especially from the back. It's the best angle on the Sportage. But generally, it's a pretty crisp update. They've been moving the ball slowly forward.
Is it now? If I had last year's model or the year before's model, and we've got our, some little changes have happened, based on what you heard and saw, would I want to go for the update, or stick with what's out there and probably get a great deal?
Okay. So let's have a little moment to see what happens when journalists go and do journalist things.
Journalist stuff.
Exactly. So typically when we go, just to explain why I cannot answer that question fully to the best of my ability. So when journalists do a launch, typically you start and you go for a drive somewhere long. Sometimes it's Hatta, it's a long drive. They give you the cars, off you go, 2 people to a car, because obviously you can't have as many cars as you want. You have a limited number of cars, right? So you take 2 people to a car, you go there, you have a lunch stop at some point. So I've talked to, sometimes there'll be representatives from the company, engineers, and then you come back and that's it. And then we come on a show like this and tell you what the car was like.
You say,
so
loved it, loathed it, etc.
exactly.
Here's the
Now,
spec, here's the details.
Yeah, basically, how much was it? Simple, basic questions. So on the Sportage, I can answer none of these questions because the Sportage, I don't know the price of it.
What?
They did not tell me the price of it. This is a fairly basic question. They told me their market strategy, but they didn't tell me how much the thing cost. They didn't tell me what engines we're getting in this market. There are 3 engines.
What?
And I know of 2 of them. So basically, they give you a USB telling you what's the car is all about. Didn't get that. And we drove to Fujairah, then came back via Kalba, 3 to a car. So that's 3 people over a 6-7 hour drive that have to share the car.
Yeah.
And I drove the car through this entire, I don't know, it felt like 17 hours, but I think it was about 7. I drove it for about 20 minutes. And I drove 1 engine variant, which I'm not sure is coming to this market. They say it is. There are 3 engine variants. There's a 2-liter, a 1.6 turbo, and a 2.4. Confusingly, the 1.6 turbo has less horsepower than the 2.4, but the most torque of all of them. The 1.6 gets a dual clutch. Everything else gets dual clutch, 7-speed dual clutch. Everything else gets 6-speed autos. So it's all a bit mix and match.
Yeah.
I think I also think the 1.6 is the most expensive. It's a special edition called the GT line.
Is there any rhyme or reason based on what you
know
heard?
what? This car is a big seller for Kia. It's 15% of global sales.
Wow.
So it's a huge contributor to their bottom line. Apparently, the US has the biggest number to percentage-wise, but Europe actually takes the most volume.
Okay.
In this market, I have no idea because nobody's forthcoming with any details. Honestly, the car drove fine. From the brief, I mean, it was it behaved itself very well. It was manners were pretty decent. But I think as Shahzad has said before, I think we need to stop giving these guys a free pass just because it didn't go all over the road and crash into the nearest camel.
How was the interior finishing?
It's better. It's better. I mean, I was fortunate enough, or unfortunate for him, I had the brand manager in the car with me. So by and large, the materials.
And you
are good.
couldn't pry any of this information. How much is this sucker going to cost me?
Didn't know. There were so many people, so many regions, but it just smacked of a general level of unpreparedness, and I don't really think that's becoming of a car company that's trying to do big launches. This is a car they expect you to buy. I mean,
it's a very important car for them.
It's a very important car. Typically, outgoing prices between 60 to 80,000 dirhams. I can only guess that's what they're staying at for this car, but the interior quality was good. It had a really weird thing where it had a soft touch dash and it had a strip. You can't see this, but it had a strip of contrast stitching horizontally across the top of the dash for no apparent reason. So you had this clean dash and then a strip of stitching. And it wasn't matched with anything else in the car. Apparently it was matched in the seat, but I told the guy, I'm sitting on the seat. I can't see the stitching. So it's this really weird stitching that makes no sense. A lot of the decisions were like this car, like, okay, that dashboard trim is like a Mercedes. This is like a BMW. This is like a Lexus. This is like, you play spot the influence. And
But we've had this before from Kia and Hyundai. Where
all of their cars, their recent years, especially the
copycats
interiors
and stuff like that. But
the exterior is a good design. The interior is everybody else's cars.
But what they've been promising more recently, particularly with Hyundai branching out this new luxury or premium brand, is a more effort in the engineering side. Did it feel a more solid or substantial
car? So
car?
Here's the interesting point. They kept going on and on, including the man from the brand team. We've hired the guy from BMW. We stole the guy from BMW. the head of M division or something. I can't remember his name, and I'm not entirely sure if they're being 100% honest about that. But they say they have a M division tuning guru who worked on the Sportage. Now, I've driven the old Sportage, and it was fine. It's an economy car. It's a nice alternative to a Corolla. It's a little crossover. And this is also a nice alternative, but it didn't feel like they've moved the game on. How they have done what I call a very interesting cheat. Because the car grips quite well. You think, okay, this is not bad. But the ride is bordering on atrocious because it has 19-inch wheels.
Ooh.
So
is that for standard? 19-inch wheels on a Kia?
They've got 3 choices of wheels. A 16, a 17, and 2 styles of 19.
No, hang on. They've gone from 16, 17 are sensible wheels in that
that's
category,
that
market. Class of car.
That's what the 16 should come
But why
with.
are there 19s on a Sportage?
On the top end is 19, and it saps power from the engine. It ruins the ride over secondary bumps and speed bumps because they go clunk over speed bumps. And then because the tire is so big and so wide, because it's a 19, which is, by the way, what you get on BMW saloons, it grips really well. So you think, okay, this car handles, but it's all just mechanical grip. The actual car is really soft, so the car goes into a corner and it leans like a tugboat.
Good idea.
So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there's some very interesting engineering cheats there. So the car looks good. You'll be sort of impressed on a test drive, but it doesn't really handle. It's not supposed to. It's a crossover. It has all of that. It has everything, man. It doesn't have radar cruise control, but it has heated and cooled seats, heated rear seats, power liftgate, this, that, heads-up display.
Wow. Heads-up display.
But the Koreans have always been good at giving us toys. That's not enough. The car has to have desirability. Does it have desirability? I honestly cannot answer in a 20-minute test drive. I will say that it didn't have any obvious problems, but it didn't really excite me either. And without more information, which is frankly a flaw, they should be doing launches better. They should be giving us the appropriate information to come and inform our audiences, I think. Okay. I believe.
One thing we know for sure is there are a lot of folks buying the Kia Sportage.
Yeah.
They like the price
point. We'd love to hear
point.
their feedback and think what they think of the new model. Have they seen it? Are they interested in buying it? I think, what do they want to see about the car?
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully it's improved.
There we go. So you had an opportunity to give the Kia Sportage a nice
Kia Portage,
a little bit of a drive, and the jury is still way out. They're not.
Which should have been the point of the drive, I should like to say.
I'm sure Hyundai will be back in touch.
Kia.
Yeah, Kia.
Kia.
Yeah, Kia. There we go. Even worse.
Whatever.
No, I'm sure Kia will be back in touch and sort through
soon,
that
hopefully.
The Kia Sportage. I always like the look.
It's a good-looking car. I think the new one's good. I mean, they've always been good-looking cars.
The last one, I just wasn't. I was a little bit turned off by the plasticky dash, and I don't know why.
That's not changed. They're still plasticky, but they've
I don't mind the
disguised
plastic.
it better.
It's the. I love it when they disguise it a little bit, so you don't.
No, they got better at that now. Okay. So it feels premium. I mean, generally most people be okay with the interior compared to the likes of buying a small 3-box saloon. Yeah. Why wouldn't you buy a Sportage?
I gotta say, I think I like the looks of the previous car better than this one.
You think?
It's a bit odd. It's a bit incohesive at the front. It's not quite.
The back's nice. The back's really nice. But then again, you drive from inside the car, so I don't know what that is.
But you want others to see you.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the cars accommodates a range of body shapes as we had, because I had a fairly large gentleman, a fairly small gentleman, and me right in the middle, and all of us were fairly comfortable.
All in the front seat. That's amazing.
That is incredible. It's a 3-seater like the Caprice Classic wagon.
Oh, forget this Kia. Let's go back to the Caprice.
Oh, and it had the now evergreen Qibla button.
Right
on the dash.
Kia and Hyundai have done that.
Evergreen.
Hyundai have had that for a while.
I like the funky lights that they've got.
What, the four lights?
Those 4 lights.
They're doubling down on that styling. They're going to see more of that. I mean, the exterior, I have to give it to them, is pure Kia Hyundai. They do their own thing.
I mean, I like the look of it. I mean, I really think they've rounded it out a bit. They've got some of those angles in there as well, a little, pushing things out. It almost at first glance,
they get people in there with the design. I mean, the design is good.
Obviously,
and then you get them into the showroom with the design, but then you grab them with the price.
The pricing
and the toys.
is really good.
The price, the toys, and the cost.
Does
for
it
getting
matter how the car drives? You're like, look at this car. I can afford it. It's got everything.
Yeah.
But then the actual drive, I think people should deserve and expect better.
Man, you know what? I'm looking at the backside of this. It reminds me.
You see what I mean?
It reminds me of a Touareg.
Really?
I think it looks better than the current Touareg. I don't. The current Touareg is a bit dowdy.
Or the Tiguan, maybe. Maybe it's the Tiguan.
Okay. So that's a good segue. I just saw the new Tiguan at the Qatar Motor Show.
Oh, and?
Forget the Kia Sportage. The Tiguan is really nice.
Yeah, but what price point?
I think it'll be somewhere in the 80s to the early hundreds. Because it'll have a few engines. It'll have a 150 brake horsepower natural aspirated. No, sorry, it'll have a 1.4, 150 brake horsepower. It'll have a 2-liter Golf engine, which is a 220 horsepower, and something else in the middle. But the design, really nice. Looks really upmarket. You get out of the car, you think, wow, this is a really premium feeling car. Volkswagen have decided to say, we're going to do this thing again properly. We're going to make cars that make people feel like they got to spend their money's worth. Interior is nice, all the toys. I think Volkswagen's getting serious about taking on the segment. Compared to a RAV4, it's light years ahead.
Interesting. So Tiguan
and
might be...
I think if the Volkswagen comes in at a price, say, slightly similar to the Sportage, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Even if it's a cheap, no-content one, get this Tiguan.
And Volkswagen are being very aggressive with their pricing. I mean,
they're trying to tell people that they're not that expensive.
Yeah, and then
that is literally what the manager told me.
Yeah.
Why we tell people the cars aren't that pricey.
And you get this German-engineered feat of brilliance.
Well, here's the funny thing. The Tiguan is built in Slovakia.
Go figure.
I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong. So is the new Sportage.
All right.
So is the Kia Sportage.
Interesting.
So you're not getting a Korean.
So we're not getting a Korean
car.
We're not getting a Korean car.
It's an SDM. It's a Slovakian market car.
Interesting.
Built in Slovakia.
You're dialed into Car Talk. If you're wondering what you're listening to, Motoring Middle East is here, and let's head to the phone lines really quick. See who's joining us. Good evening. Welcome to the program. They're gone.
Long distance.
We lost them. Yeah, we lost them. We'll try them again. We're gonna head to the second phone line. Let's go to number 3. See who's joining us. Good evening. Welcome to Nightline.
Good evening. My name is Adnan.
Hey, Adnan. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
We're doing excellent. How can we help you this evening?
Okay. Actually, I was listening to your show just to share my experience in regards to a Hyundai Sonata. I had for a couple of days, and it was a brilliant experience. When I drove this vehicle, the car was amazing. The drive, the features, the technology what they have used was very good.
Were you test driving it, or were you thinking about buying it, or?
I'm really, in fact, thinking about buying it now. After driving this, I'm really in love with that car. Even the price is not that much high.
How much were they asking for it?
For the mid-range, it comes around 77,000.
That's a pretty fair price.
It's a lot of car for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, what? If you're in the market for such a car and you've driven it and you like it, then you absolutely should go for it. I mean, there's no reason that there is nothing to stop you from buying that car. There is nothing negative about that car. What we're saying here on Motoring Middle East and on Car Talk is that we are getting to the stage where we're expecting a bit more from Hyundai and Kia, because they're not the underdogs anymore. They're not newcomers to the market. They're not just the guys that make the cheap cars. Their cars should now be on par and even competing on a higher level with the Japanese opposition to start with. So we are expecting more from them now. But having said that, as an option for a customer to buy, for somebody who's looking for a set of reliable wheels that are well equipped, comfortable, easy to drive, and a good price, absolutely go for it. If you've driven the car, you like it, you're comfortable with it, you should go for that car.
Yes, thank you.
There we go.
Thank you so much for your input.
Hey, and thank you for sharing. And you know what? When you get that thing, let us know.
Definitely. I'll be in touch.
Good luck. Great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. You too. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to head back over to line 1, see who's joining us. Keep your calls coming in, by the way. Esther is answering the phones and getting you all lined up. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Who are we speaking to?
Hello, sir. My name is Wafi.
Hey, Wafi. How are you? How can we help you on Car Talk?
Not bad. I'm good. Thanks. I was just listening to I just got in my car and listened to your program. I didn't really catch up with what you were guys saying, but I heard the review from the gentleman about the Kia.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of, I can't say my older days. I don't really want to say how old I am.
Oh, go on. It's just three of us here. Nobody will know.
And I was discussing this similar subject probably a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine who's in love with cars. I love cars myself. And I was saying, why do we not really have the professional manpower here in this country to rebuild the classics? I know a lot of people...
You mean restoration?
Yes, restoration.
Well, restoration has been done here.
There is a lot of shops in restoration in varying standards, but they do exist. And some are very, very high standards, but they tend to be private garages. They're not open to the public. The very best places are not, unfortunately, retail outlets. There are extremely good shops.
But there are remarkable examples of cars that have been restored here. I mean,
to a Concours standard, yeah.
Interestingly enough, we were just talking about it just off air before we came on. The Yamaha show is back on
March 24th to 27th.
March 24th to March 27th. The Yamaha Classic Car Show, Downtown Boulevard. Go check it out and talk to the owners there, because you'll find some of the cars there. You'll find have been restored here locally, and some of them to a very high standard. So, if there's a car in particular that you're looking to restore or something like that, then by all means drop us a line, and then we'll see if we can put you in touch with somebody.
Sure. I'm actually in love with the 240Z Datsun.
Oh, I mean, that's a very popular car. There actually are a lot of people here that have worked on those cars. And I know of at least one example restored to a very high quality and modified here by a reader of ours, I think. And there should be plenty of people out there to help you with one of those.
Sure. I'm actually rebuilding one, but in the States instead of bringing it right here. I went to the States last year, bought a used one, and then went for a garage that I've been in contact with through social media.
Yeah.
And I've seen their work. They've done an excellent job in many, many Japanese cars. They're more orientated towards the what they call JDM.
JDM stuff, yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, but
no, it sounds like a brilliant project.
That's actually a good way to go about it, don't you think? Because you get the car done in the US, the parts are easier for them to get hold of. There's a lot more expertise. As much as I love the garages out here, it simply logistically makes more sense to get the car done overseas than shipped over here, finished, done, and you enjoy it.
But the good thing is to know that there are enough people here that will be able to look after it once you get it over.
At least in terms of oil changes and basic repairs, you'll be fine.
Well, funny you said that, because what they've been doing I think the last 5 years, this is just my good guess, they've been installing the new engines instead of the older engines. Ooh. Some people are actually against that, and I've seen a guy with a 240Z in the States, in Florida, and he had a 1972 240Z with a VQ engine, which is the
Z engine.
Yeah.
New Z engines, yeah.
Wow.
And the transmission as well.
Yeah.
So you're literally driving a classic that
brand new
has a new heart, basically.
Well, if you were listening at the beginning of the show, and I think
Shazad loves modified cars. Let him talk about him some more.
Well, let me clarify. I don't like modifying modern cars, but when it comes to classic cars, I mean, so for example, the car we were talking about.
It's called a double standard.
No, it's not. It's called
hypocrisy as well.
It's called enjoying your classic in a reliable manner. I mean, even we were talking about Caterham and Morgan. Stop it.
Yes.
We were talking about and they're built brand new today, but in a traditional style, but with a modern drivetrain. And there are a lot of people out there that take old cars, even American muscle cars, and they'll swap the engines out, and they're often termed resto mods. And I don't see a problem with that, because the idea is that you enjoy the classic car, but you can use it as a daily driver, because you can run around in it, and it will have reliable engine, reliable drivetrain, reliable gearbox, reliable ventilation, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, there's also a definite place, and particularly when it comes to investment, for authenticity and going for the original thing. And if that's your thing, you should definitely go for that and try and be as authentic as you can. When you get the car here, please do contact us, because we'd love to come and see it and maybe do a shoot with it and stuff. That would be fantastic.
Sure. I would be more than happy to do that.
Excellent. Hey, thanks for calling. Thanks for sharing, and we look forward to catching up with you really soon.
All right, then. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
We got a couple of quick questions that have come through. First of all, your thoughts on the Silverado is a question that Shanaj has come with. The Chevy Silverado. What do you guys think?
Great truck.
Yeah.
Great truck. The great thing about it is it's so variable. You can get a short bed 2-door. You can get a extra cab 4-door. Up to all the way up to 3500 HD double axle. Double tires on the back of them, as the locals would say. It is an incredibly variable car. Hits every price point. There's a high country version if you want like a full-on leather-lined Luxo bus. Yeah, I mean, there's the Silverado for every budget, and I think Chevy's doing some really good deals at the moment, and it's great. M-Motor 5.3 motor. If you want the 6.2, that's the reason to get the GMC, I think. That's the nice, big, beefy motor, but it's a good truck.
Yeah, Silverado.
I just want to touch on the point you just mentioned there, Imtishan, about, they're doing deals at the moment. And I was talking to somebody earlier today. Right now is a good time to be buying cars. I know a lot of people are not interested in buying cars at this point in the year. You've had an expensive winter, Christmas, whatever, you're starting a new year. But right now, dealers will bite your hands off because there's still 2015 stock out there that they want to offload. Go into a dealer, play hardball. People out there are wanting to do a deal. So if you're interested in buying a car and you've got a bit of money saved away, now is the time to do it. And you'd be
surprised what sort of cars you can get deals on.
Yeah.
It's not just cheap stuff. I mean, all the luxury cars, they're looking to get rid of them.
Nice. That's a good tip. Thank you very much. Matt's come through. He's got $400,000 he wants to spend on a vehicle.
Really?
Yep. He says second hand.
400,000 dirhams.
He wants something that's a year old, looking for something that's got power.
I'm almost sure this is a joke, but okay.
But hang on, he's got 400,000. He wants power is the only thing he's mentioned,
that's it.
Right?
Power.
Okay,
not
so
even doors, SUV, cars.
How much is a Hellcat?
Now 300k at the moment. They
just
dropped
get
the
a
price.
Hellcat. You'll save yourself
brand new
100
700 horsepower. Is the most powerful car on the planet. Actually, it is. The Saloon is the most powerful Ford ever.
Most powerful production car.
Charger Hellcat just come in, 350, I believe. Well, the price might have dropped.
There you go. Get one of those.
But okay, let's say he specifically wants a slightly used car for 400,000 dirhams.
AMG.
What do we do?
Any AMG 63 model.
I'm going to say Range Rover. Range Rover Sport.
I'm going to stick with my AMG.
Well, I like Range Rovers. I like SUVs. Get a Range Rover. SRT8, too cheap for him. It's only like 250k, brand new. So it's a really tricky thing to get him to spend his 400,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
Well, a second-hand X5M.
I think it's a wind-up. It's got to be.
Well, could you get a Ferrari for that sort of money?
No.
Maybe
They'll all be 800.
Maybe an old one.
A few years old, but you could get a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Although, how fast is the Ferrari?
You know what? Go for the AMG. If you want sheer brute power, go for the AMG. If you want used, if you want brand new, get yourself a Hellcat.
Get a slightly used F-Type. That's what I'd go. F-Type V8R.
F-Type V8, the V8 one, not the R. Yeah, that one.
Nice. Ian, the Skoda guys come back. This was coming back from our Kia conversation and the VW conversation, and he said, you know what? The Skoda Yeti SUV, two-wheel drive to 4x4, is very reasonably priced, and they have that VW Audi feel.
You know, I like those cars, but the dealer just doesn't do anything with them, and I'm sure it's a great price point, but it's not in people's mindset. It's partly the fact that they don't put it in the hands of people like us to tell people whether they're good or bad, and I'm actually sure they're pretty good. But we need to drive the cars to be able to give an informed opinion. I'm sure the Yeti is a good car because it is a VW at the end of the day. Yeah. But it's just not in people's headspaces.
Yeah, I think Imtishan, you raised a very good point there. I mean, you got to put the car with people like us so that we can come and tell people. I mean, we recently drove a Suzuki Vitara, which was out of the blue. They sent us a press release. I said, would you happen to have a car? They said, yeah, sure, take it. and we took it out, and for 72,000, a Suzuki Vitara 4x4.
What a shocker! What a shocker!
We were like, wow. For the money, what a car.
And you see that sign they've got out? They're just a very basic black on white sign. Yeah. The new Vitara is here.
That's it. No messing around. Just come and check it out. But the thing is, nobody knows until we drove it and we put it up and we said,
what a joyous little car. Yeah. I mean, in the classic, I'm a small car, I got a small engine, but I got a big heart. And that's the problem, I think, if I'm being cynical, with the Kia Sportage or Sportage, because in some ways you have to ask, what are they trying to hide when they only let you drive the car for 20 minutes? You honestly start thinking, has this car got an issue? It didn't. Let me be clear. It didn't have any problems. It had no issues. But if they don't give you a good crack at the car, you don't get a chance to evaluate it properly. Yeah. And then you have to think, okay, I have to come back later and get a proper test drive.
I just want to touch on another thing quickly, because normally we try to get these cars delivered because it's just easier for us and stuff. But the Suzuki, because they were not set up for press, they said, we got the car at the dealership. Could you please go there and get it? And normally you go there and the dealer looks up and they go, what do you want? All right, I have to say, I got such a nice welcome when I went to the Suzuki place. I had such a nice chat. They were all of the staff, not just the manager that I spoke to, but all of the staff just seemed genuinely happy to be there, happy to help, and really look after you. And I thought it's not just the cars, but it's just a nice atmosphere as well. So yeah, definitely go out check out
Shakeside Road.
Suzuki.
Were you at the Shakeside
I was
Road?
at the Dira one. Yeah.
Nice. Just a really quick one. Hisham has come through and says, hey, maybe that guy was talking about 40,000. Nope. I SMS back to him and I asked that question. I said, are you sure you don't mean 40? And wrote back, nope, 400. So
lucky guys, you got a lot of options.
Lots of options.
Seriously, you can buy a couple of cars for that money. A couple of Morgans.
This is Car Talk. We'd love to hear from you. You can get involved.
Yeah.
Hey, we got another one that's come through. It says, I just want to talk about the Volvo Xc90. Lovely car. I think
he loves also.
He says, I also own an X5 2015. But in some ways, the Xc90 is so good. And the new one gives you 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers.
We know because we reviewed it. Go check it out on motoringme.com or on our YouTube channel, YouTube.com.
Very well received video.
Yeah.
Isn't the Xc90 just such a game changer? Because you have the X5, which is a very Germanic ideal of luxury. More. Thudding amounts of power, thudding amounts of luxury. Big stiff suspension, big fat tires that really kill you when you come to replace them because they're all like 8,000-9,000. And then in the Xc90, you think, what an intelligent, refined, minimalist Scandinavian car. Scandinavian, because it even has little flags on the seats.
Yeah.
But it's full of little details and Easter eggs that make you go, okay, somebody thought about this car.
Yeah.
And not just in terms of how can I throw more stuff at it like the Sportage does. Sportage just more. But the Xc90 is less, but better.
And that's what
I hope that
Volvo-
made sense to people who are listening. I'm not turning into a child.
No, that is what Volvo is all about. They just
Definitely. Volvo is back.
Yeah.
Volvo is back. Go check it out. Volvo is back on its game.
A 2-liter engine, and yet
Brilliant.
you never miss the big motors.
Mate, let me tell you. They told me, come and get this car, all right? So I went down there, and I said, which model are you giving me? I said, with 2-liter, we only do that now. I'm like, what happened to the V8? No V8. I'm like, oh,
What happened to the
God.
6? Gone.
What happened to 6? No. 5? No. 4. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay then. So I got in the car, turned it on. First time I pressed the accelerator, I was like, whoa, what is this? They call it
And
the
what's
twin
the secret
charge.
behind that?
They call it the twin charge, supercharge and turbocharge.
There we go.
Very, very cool.
There
Twice
we
the
go.
complexity.
Yeah.
But it felt pretty robust. That car felt pretty
quick as well. Yeah.
What is that, 300 horsepower, 400 horsepower that we drove?
Yeah, 300 I think it was, yeah.
So what about a Volvo
Can I just ask, because I can see your text messages from here, and somebody, I think it's Said, has just sent in the name Jackie Schroff as a Bollywood star. Is that for us?
I think
Nah, listening to another station.
Jackie Schroff. He does
You
like
just
cars.
want to talk about Jackie Schroff.
He does like. He's into cars. He's one of the few Bollywood stars that is properly
I thought
into his
they were all
cars.
into cars.
No, he's properly. He gets the classics and stuff.
Okay,
He's
can I
properly into
interrupt
cars.
you for a second?
Sure,
I got
go.
a question here. Volvo XC60 or the new Tiguan? XC60.
I don't know. You've seen the new Tiguan, haven't you?
Which, the new Tiguan or the current Tiguan?
The new.
It
says the new.
I'm going to say XC60 is a little bit bigger, but the XC60 is a bit old, and I think wait for the new one that's coming. There's a new one coming pretty soon by the end of this year. Right now, Tiguan is the one to get if you like a bit of German on your badge. The Volvo is fine. It's just feeling a bit old. The thing is, when you see the XC90, you go, gosh, that's just new Volvo. And you see the new S90 that's coming out, you think these cars they're leapt ahead. So
It's a
you
new
just won't be
standard
happy.
car, yeah.
You won't be happy driving the old cars.
Volvo-
Although they do a good deal at the moment, I should
They
point
are
out.
doing a very good. Volvo is actually planning to replace its entire range by 2020 with brand new
Okay.
cars.
All right. So watch that space. It all depends. You might be able to get a really good deal, but the Tiguan is sweet looking. So
Right now, go into the showrooms and
What's that deal we saw the other day? V40?
I don't know, but right now they're all doing incredible deals. Right now, go into new car showrooms, bargain hard. You will get a bargain. You will get a deal.
At least a free pen.
okay, got another one for you. The Silverado is a 4x4 proper desert driving, or is it just a truck in that price range?
Whoa. Okay, here's the thing about a Silverado. A very good driver, like myself, you could take the Silverado anywhere. However, it's not out of the box going to be able to do the stuff that a Wrangler can do. And there are some places that even the shortest two-door will never be able to go just because of the wheelbase. It's a big car. I mean, to give you an idea of the size, a stock Wrangler is incredibly short. It's the size of, say, it's shorter than a Camry. And it's slightly longer than a Corolla. A stock Silverado or Ram or F-150, which they don't do a two-door F-150 in this market, is about the same length as a Land Cruiser. And that's the smallest one they make.
Yeah.
So in the desert, you need to be able to as compact and nimble as possible. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take the silver out of the desert. A lot of very, very good off-road shops, the likes of Rami and Rage that we talked about, they will modify the car and make it more desert suitable. But it is quite drastic modifications. You need to lift it, put some serious tires, and then get rid of the front bumper and put like a very stripped-down steel bumper. So it's a lot of money. But the upshot is you can enjoy the Silverado in the desert just as well as any other car. It just requires money.
So
because I wouldn't recommend
off the shelf, you're not going to take it off.
No. The only stock off-road truck that can go into the desert and come out and have a whale of a time is the Raptor. And that's another level, the Raptor. But that costs a lot more as well. It's one level price-wise.
Although they might be trying to move some of those right now, this time of year.
I'm not sure they have too many left. I think they've been out of production for a bit. So Altair has a couple of cars left. Go down, run up a deal.
Yeah, there we go. Another question that's come through. It says, I'm just really curious. This is, why is there a new model of a car every year, and when you look at the two models, they look almost exactly the same?
You see, this is the confusion of dealers and marketing. What they tell you is, model year 16, model year 15. What you need to look at is the life cycle of the car. When they say model year 15, model year 16, they're talking about the production year of that car. And whilst there may be some changes, the changes will amount to maybe
every car gets a few detail changes.
It'll be trims. It'll be like, okay, now they put the LEDs on it or something like that. It'll be a few minor tweaks and changes here and there. And then halfway through its model cycle, which typically could be 3 to 5 years, depending on which manufacturer and what kind of car, halfway through its model life cycle, it will get a facelift. And the facelift will be more substantial. So you may visually see a difference, or you may not, but there will be a more substantial change.
And that's planned from the start. It's not an accident, by the way.
As soon as they put a new car into the market, they are already working on the interim facelift for that car. So the actual model year life cycle of a car, depending on the manufacturer, depending on the type of car, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years is how they are. Model years, every year they will make small tweaks and changes to the car, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily a whole new car. It just means that they've tweaked it a little bit. They've added some new kit to it.
Okay.
So basically read sites like motoringme.com to really understand the car you're buying.
Just a very, very quick example. So we just reviewed the Beetle Cabriolet. And I reviewed the Beetle Coupe, the new Beetle Coupe, the same model, just less than a couple of years ago. And at that point, I specifically said, why doesn't it have a USB? It still had the proprietary cables in it. Now for model year 16, they all have USB. So the car is exactly the same
car.
It's the same car. Well, all they've done is they've introduced some trim things. So that's all
in
it
response to feedback from people like us.
Which is exactly the right thing to do.
Gentlemen, we've run out of time once again.
Wow.
We've rolled out. We got to roll everything back into the boot, and next
drive
week,
off into the sun.
Exactly. Pick up where we left off.
It's dark, man.
Same place, same time. Gentlemen, motoringme.com. If you want to find out what these guys are writing about, you can go find them on Facebook, all social media. They put a lot of content up there. It's not only informative, it's entertaining, and it'll leave you going, you know what? I think I need to go buy that car.
Thank you.
There we go. Gentlemen, talk to you again next week.
See ya.